So today we are starting our unit on the rock cycle and geologic time, and we're going to start with minerals, which are the building blocks of rocks. And here we have all these different kinds of minerals. They look pretty cool, right? These purple ones look cool. This white one. We'll talk about these. So a mineral, like we talked about earlier today in class, is any naturally occurring inorganic solid. So it's got to be solid. It's got to be inorganic, which means that it was never living or dead. And it has to possess an orderly internal structure and a definite chemical composition. Now, what does the end of this mean? An orderly internal structure. Last year in 7th grade, you should have learned a little bit about chemistry. Atoms, things like hydrogen and carbon. An orderly internal structure means that every mineral of, let's just say, gold, has all of their atoms set up in the same way. So if we were like making gold, all of gold's atoms have to be lined up or put together in that same way every single time for it to be considered gold. A definite chemical composition, that means that it's made of the same element or the same substance. So like, for example, diamond is made mostly of carbon. It always has to be made of carbon. Diamonds will never be made of something different than carbon. Each of the Earth's 4,000 minerals is unique. So we have some gold here. We have a whole bunch of other minerals in this picture here. And the uniqueness is determined by its chemical composition and that internal structure of atoms we just talked about. So for example, here we have gold. It all looks different, right? These are all pieces of gold. They don't have to look exactly the same. But if we could look inside with some kind of like super microscope where we could see the atoms, how they're set up inside gold, they are always going to be set up the same. It's always going to be made of the same components. So gold can never be made of two different things. There are 5 characteristics to be a mineral. So this is something that you should be writing or typing down. They must be a solid, so it can't be a liquid or a gas. Must be inorganic, so it can't be alive or never have been alive. Must have that orderly internal structure, so the atoms have to always be arranged in that definite pattern. It must be formed naturally, so no man-made crystals, nothing that's made by man or by people inside of a laboratory are considered minerals. And then lastly, it must have a definite chemical composition. So you see here, graphite is made of carbon. Galena is made of lead and sulfur. Galena will always be made of these two things. Graphite will always be made of carbon. And the difference between graphite, which is made of carbon, and diamond, which is made of carbon, is that the atoms are set up differently. Now, there's something called crystal lattice inside when we talk about minerals, and that gives these minerals their unique shapes. You'll notice that if you look at some of these pictures of minerals, they have very like cool or very unique shapes. Some like the gold here look like no shape that we might have ever seen. And that's due to this crystal lattice. And it's formed when the atoms join together in some type of repeating pattern. So like I said, in a mineral, those atoms are set up in a specific way. These minerals have these atoms set up in this repeating pattern, and they give the minerals that cool shape or that very unique shape like we have here. There are 7 main types of crystals. We're not going to go into them, but these are like the different crystal systems that we have here. Sometimes they're obvious, like you just look at them. Sometimes you need an X-ray. So now what you should do is on your slides, you should have been able to fill in your 2 note slides. You're going to do the 1 activity slide here, and you see you have smiley faces on the left-hand side. You're going to look at the sample, like we'll do rain together, and you're going to decide if it's a mineral or not a mineral. So rain is not a mineral. And you can go through and think about the 5 different reasons that something's a mineral. Minerals must be solids. Rain is not a solid. So you would put the smiley face in mineral no, and you tell me it is not a mineral because it is a liquid. And that's it. You do that for each of these items. Make sure you go back and look at your 5 characteristics. That's where you'll get your answers from. And let me know if you need help.